Hello and welcome to Indus News Live from Islamabad. I am Hira Mustafa and these are the headlines. In Afghanistan, at least 19 students have been killed and 22 wounded when terrorists stormed Kabul University. The Interior Ministry said security forces have killed all 3 attackers after a 6-hour-long gunfight. The Taliban have denied any involvement in the attack and accused Kabul of supporting militants who target civilians. US envoy Zalmay Khalilzad and Pakistan Army Chief General Qamar Javed Bajwa have discussed the regional security situation, including the Afghan peace process. Matters pertaining to the border management also came under discussion during the meeting at the General Headquarters in Rawalpindi. Khalilzad appreciated Pakistan's efforts for facilitating the Afghan peace process. Tens of thousands of Muslims in Bangladesh and Indonesia took to the streets to protest against France President Emmanuel Macron. They are demanding their governments cut ties with France over Macron's anti-Islam remarks. The controversy sparked last month when Macron described Islam as a religion in crisis and defended the republication of blasphemous caricatures. The World Health Organization chief Tedros Ghebreyesus has self-isolated after coming in contact with a COVID-19 carrier. India has reported over 496 deaths and 45,000 cases overnight as the country's caseload topped 8.2 million. In Pakistan, the virus has claimed 12 more lives overnight, pushing the death toll to 6,835. The global death count from the pandemic has topped 1.2 million with more than 46 million cases. Well, these were the headlines. News in detail coming after the short break. Stay with us. Welcome back, and now the news in detail. In Afghanistan, at least 19 students have been killed and 22 wounded when terrorists stormed Kabul University. The Interior Ministry says security forces have killed all 3 attackers after a 6-hour-long gunfight. An Iranian book exhibition was being held at the university at the time of the shooting. The attack followed an explosion in the area. The Taliban have denied involvement in the attack and accused Kabul of supporting militants who target civilians. According to the American media, ISS has claimed responsibility for the attack. Meanwhile, Pakistan's Foreign Ministry condemned the attack on the university campus. US envoy Zalmay Khalilzad and Pakistan Army Chief General Qamar Javed Bajwa have discussed the regional security situation, including the Afghan peace process. Matters pertaining to the border management also came under discussion during the meeting at the General Headquarters in Rawalpindi. Khalilzad appreciated Pakistan's efforts for facilitating the Afghan peace process. His visit comes as the Taliban and the Afghan government continue deliberations to establish a basic framework for intra-Afghan talks in Doha. Anger at French President Emmanuel Macron's anti-Islam remarks continues to grow across the Muslim world. Over 50,000 people took to the streets in Bangladesh's capital Dhaka to protest against Macron. More in this report.
Protesters in Dhaka carried anti-France placards, some using their shoes to beat up a poster bearing Macron's photograph. Bangladesh's biggest Islamic group, Hifazat-e-Islam, has told the government to cut ties with France within 24 hours.
We have gathered here to protest against the French president for insulting our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Today we will go to seize the French embassy under the banner of Hifazat-e-Islam to show our anger and demand that there will be no French embassy here in Bangladesh. And we will boycott French goods.
Over in Indonesia, thousands of Muslims participated in similar protests in the capital, Jakarta. Demonstrators marched towards the French embassy, calling for a boycott of French products.
Even though liberal over there in France, there is no need for him to praise it or admit it. It doesn't matter. Please don't insult and badmouth the religion. I am very involved because I'm a Muslim, so I came to participate in the protest.
In recent weeks, Macron has come under fire for describing Islam as a religion in crisis all over the world. He also defended the display of blasphemous cartoons, prompting rebuke from Muslim leaders, including Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan.
And moving on, in France, police have released 3 suspects arrested in connection to the knife attack at a church in Nice. 3 people, including 2 women, were killed in the attack. State media said the 3 male suspects were released after it was established they had no link to the attacker. It said 3 others still remain under custody. Nice Mayor Christian Estrosi said around 120 police officers along with 60 soldiers have been deployed to guard churches. The 21-year-old Tunisian accused of the attack is under treatment at the hospital after being shot by police. Azerbaijan says its forces have shot down another attacking fighter jet of Armenia and killed 30 soldiers in Zangilan. The Azeri Defense Ministry said this is the 3rd Su-25 warplane to be downed in the last 4 days. Earlier, it said Armenian forces targeted civilian areas in Agdam and Akjabadi regions with artillery and missiles. The ministry added that its forces destroyed a large number of weapons of Armenian forces in retaliatory raids. Over 1,100 people have been killed since the fighting over Nagorno-Karabakh region broke out on September 27th. China says it will take all necessary measures to safeguard Chinese journalists in response to Washington's delay in visa renewals. At a news briefing, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Wang Wenbin urges the U.S. to stop its political persecution of Chinese journalists. He said some Chinese journalists were granted visa extensions, but others have not been granted an extension yet. The U.S. has tightened rules governing Chinese journalists working in the country. Turkey has rejected Greece's request to halt hydrocarbon exploration in the East Mediterranean. In a statement, the Turkish Foreign Ministry said Ankara is acting in the jurisdiction of international law. It said Turkey is ready to cooperate with Greece and to solve the issue through dialogue. Earlier, Athens said the area where Ankara was deploying a research vessel included the Greek continental shelf. Athens said the area of contention is a few miles from the Greek islands of Rhodes and Castellorozzi. Turkey says it has neutralized 9 militants of the Kurdistan Workers' Party in northern Syria. The Defense Ministry says they tried to infiltrate regions where Ankara is conducting Operation Peace Spring. In a tweet, the Defense Ministry says Ankara will not allow terrorists to disturb peace and security in northeastern Syria. Peace Spring is one of the 3 operations launched by Turkey across its border with northern Syria since 2016. Ankara holds the Kurdistan Workers' Party responsible for the deaths of some 40,000 people in a 30-year terror campaign. Brexit Party leader Nigel Farage says he will relaunch the group as anti-lockdown party called Reform UK. In an opinion piece, Farage said the party will focus on fighting government's anti-coronavirus measures. Farage stated the new party will back a policy of focused protection from the coronavirus for only the most vulnerable. He explained his party's agenda will be to allow the rest of the population to develop herd immunity. The leader said papers seeking the name change have been submitted to the Electoral Commission. Earlier, Prime Minister Boris Johnson ordered national lockdown in England after the country's COVID-19 cases topped 1 million. Western countries have called on Belarus to halt its crackdown on peaceful protesters and release political prisoners. At a review of Belarus at the UN Human Rights Council, Britain, France and the US called for dialogue with the opposition. U.S. envoy to the UN, Andrew Bramberg, said the August 9th presidential elections in Belarus were fraudulent. He said the West is deeply concerned by the ongoing use of violence and repression against the Belarusian people. The meeting was the rights body's first regular examination of Belarus in 5 years. Meanwhile, Belarusian ambassador to the UN said the government in Minsk had the necessary instruments to restore stability. The World Health Organization chief Tedros Ghebreyesus has self-isolated after coming in contact with a COVID-19 carrier. The global death count from the pandemic has topped 1.2 million with more than 46 million cases. More in this report.
The coronavirus pandemic continues to rage globally, restricting movements, dwindling hopes and stunting economies. Nations across Europe are introducing blanket curbs as the region with 10% of the world's population accounts for 22% of the cases. In Latin America, Mexico is fast becoming the 5th regional country to hit the 1 million infections mark. In Brazil's Sao Paulo, hundreds of anti-vaxxers protested against government plans to make a Chinese coronavirus vaccine mandatory.
Sao Paulo's governor wants to deploy a compulsory vaccine against our will. This doesn't exist in any place of the world. Not even in China is this vaccine compulsory for people. The director of World Health Organization has stated that giving this vaccine to the whole population in an authoritarian way does not work. This can't happen.
Over in Asia, India has reported 496 deaths and over 45,000 cases overnight as the country's caseload topped 8.2 million. India's festival season has been marred by crowds ignoring the dangers of coronavirus. People have been flocking to popular sites, forgetting the SOPs and undoing months of restrictions to fight the pandemic.
Everything will happen as per Shiva's wish. Residents of Varanasi drink the water of holy Ganges river and they lead their lives on their own terms. The level of awareness that the government has shown regarding coronavirus, people of Varanasi are not showing the same awareness.
Elsewhere, South Korea has launched a new 5-stage social distancing scheme after the previous one was criticized as extremely vague.
In Pakistan, 12 people have died from the COVID-19 in the past 24 hours. The health ministry says the country's death toll has risen to 6,835. The ministry said there are over 13,000 active COVID-19 cases in the country. It said out of over 335,000 countrywide cases, more than 315,000 have recovered so far. The ministry said over 146,000 cases have been detected in the Sindh province, while Punjab has reported over 104,000 cases. In the capital city Islamabad, more than 20,000 have been infected so far. Meanwhile, the United Nations Children's Fund has lauded Pakistan measures to ease the socio-economic impact of COVID-19. In an interview, UNICEF representative in Pakistan, Aida Girma, also praised the Clean Green Index initiative. She called it a crucial step towards raising standards of cleanliness and ensuring a sustainable environment. Girma added a healthy environment is imperative to nurture a healthy society. The UNICEF representative said the agency will continue to work with Islamabad to carry forward the initiative. In Tanzania, the police have arrested the main opposition party leader ahead of protests to demand re-election in the country. Opposition leader Tundu Lissu said the police have also arrested a former parliamentarian and 2 mayors, among others. The opposition party, Chadema, rejected the result of latest polls which re-elected President John Magufuli. It said there have been widespread irregularities in the election process. Earlier, Magufuli promised that he looks forward to work with his political rivals after winning a landslide victory. The turnout in Algeria's referendum to end the political crisis in the country remained extremely low. The referendum was held over constitutional reforms which will limit presidential term. Election bodies said less than 25% of Algerians took part in the polls despite government efforts to encourage high turnout. It said 23.7% turnout shows that the proposed constitutional reforms failed to inspire masses. Algeria has been gripped by political unrest after mass protests ousted 23-year-old rule of President Abdulaziz Bouteflika. Protests restarted after masses rejected the measures taken after Bouteflika's ouster. With the U.S. gripped by a historic pandemic and its economic fallout, President Donald Trump and his Democratic rival Joe Biden have the final day to make their case to the voters. Over 93 million early votes have already been cast ahead of the election day. This report has the more.
As the campaign for the 2020 U.S. presidential election draws to a close, President Donald Trump and his contender Joe Biden are making every hour count in critical battleground states. On the final day, Trump is set to sprint through 5 rallies in North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, wrapping up his campaign with 2 in Michigan. Trump once again questioned the integrity of the election in the vote counting procedures.
And I don't think it's fair that we have to wait a long period of time after the election. If people wanted to get their ballots in, they should have gotten their ballots in long before that, a long time. They don't have to put their ballots in the same day. They could have put their ballots in a month ago. And we think it's a ridiculous decision.
Biden has focused most of his time to Pennsylvania, where a win would leave Trump with an exceedingly narrow path. Biden has wrapped up the campaign on the offensive, traveling exclusively to the states that Trump won in 2016. He will also make a detour to bordering Ohio, a state where polls now show a close contest.
When Americans vote, America will be heard. When America's heard, I believe the message is going to be loud and clear. It's time for Donald Trump to pack his bags and go home. It's time to breathe some life back into this nation. We're done. We're tired of the tweets, the anger, the hate, the failure, the irresponsibility. We've got a lot of work to do. And if I'm elected your president, we're going to do it, and we're going to act, and we're going to start from the very first day.
Although Biden leads Trump in national opinion polls, the race is much closer in crucial battleground states. Both candidates aim to secure 270 electoral college votes that are required to win over the White House.
And now it's time to take a short break. Stay with us. And now moving on, the International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists is being marked today. The UN recognized day draws attention to the low global conviction rate for crimes against media persons. A UN report says around 1,200 journalists have been killed in the past 14 years. The report says 9 out of 10 murderers of journalists go unpunished. In his message, UN Chief Antonio Guterres says societies as a whole pay the price when journalists are targeted. Guterres asserts an important defense against the pandemic of misinformation is lost when journalists cannot do their jobs in safety. Veteran British journalist Robert Fisk has died at the age of 74. Fisk was admitted to a hospital in Dublin after suffering a suspected stroke on Friday.
Covering wars for over 5 decades, Fisk was largely known as probably the most famous foreign correspondent in Britain. He won numerous awards for his reporting on the Middle East. Based in Beirut, he reported on the civil war in Lebanon, as well as the Iranian Revolution in 1979 and the Iran-Iraq War. The veteran journalist interviewed Osama bin Laden 3 times in the 1990s. Fisk also wrote several books, including The Great War for Civilization and Pity the Nation, Lebanon at War. He was a fierce critic of the United States, Israel, and Western foreign policy.
Exiled U.S. whistleblower Edward Snowden says he has applied for Russian citizenship but will keep his U.S. nationality. In a tweet, Snowden says he and his wife don't wish to be separated from their son. The whistleblower says he will teach his son the importance of freedom of speech, among other American values. Snowden's tweet comes weeks after he was granted permanent residency in the country and just days after his partner Lindsay Mill announced as she was pregnant. Former CIA and NSA contractor turned whistleblower published the evidence on mass surveillance operations by U.S. intelligence. U.S. President Donald Trump recently said he will consider pardoning Snowden but made no further comment. The death toll from the earthquake in western Turkey has risen to 83, with over 200 injured still under treatment. Rescue officials say a 3-year-old girl has been rescued from the rubble 65 hours after the earthquake jolted the Izmir city. Earlier, a 14-year-old girl was rescued from the debris after 58 hours. More than 1,100 aftershocks have hit the area, 43 of them above magnitude 4. It said 962 people were injured and 743 of them have been discharged from the hospitals. In the Philippines, the death toll from the typhoon Goni has risen to 17, while 3 people are still missing. More than 300 houses have been buried under volcanic rocks in the Luzon Island. Storm hit some coastal towns with 217 km/h winds, while rivers overflowed and dikes were destroyed, submerging several villages in Bicol. Typhoon Goni weakened further after making landfall in Quezon and Batangas provinces before heading towards the South China Sea. Goni is one of the strongest storms to hit the Philippines since Haiyan, which killed over 6,300 people in 2013. In China, the first integrated testing base for intelligent vehicles has been put into use in the Jiangsu province. The facility will provide more accurate tests for auto-driving vehicles to promote the development of the industry. It has several testing fields to simulate the possible situations intelligent vehicles may come across on the road. It will provide third-party authoritative testing and certification to address key issues of accident responsibility identification. The facility will also work on network security in the development and application of China's automatic driving vehicles. A record high number of fires scorched Brazil's Amazon and Pantanal wetlands in October. Brazil's National Institute of Space Research says 23% of the Amazon rainforest was burned in 2020. The institute recorded over 17,000 fires in the Amazon in October, twice as much as last year. The data shows the region has seen a record-breaking 21,115 fires so far this year. The Brazilian head of the World Wildlife Fund, Mariana Napolitano, says the government ignored warnings issued by the researchers. Bolsonaro has denounced what he calls a campaign of disinformation and blamed indigenous people for starting the fires. Peru's world-famous tourist destination, Machu Picchu, has been reopened after months of lockdown. A traditional ceremony giving thanks to the earth and a spectacular light show resurrected the tourist attraction. More in the report.
UNESCO World Heritage Site, Citadel nestled in the Indus Mountains, is on the bucket list of many tourists. The site remained closed for 8 months due to the lockdown imposed to halt the spread of COVID-19. On Sunday, the famous tourist attraction was reopened to the visitors.
Being here at Machu Picchu is very special for all of us. It's the symbolic place of Peruvian culture in the world, but above all, it's a symbol of resistance, of strength, of courage, and of hope.
Authorities say social distancing between visitors will be enforced and the number of people entering per day will be limited to 675. Prior to the pandemic, daily visits normally fell between 2,500 to 5,000 tourists.
Today we are saying to the world that we are coming back, and we say it from our most important icon, from our wonder of the world that represents us and identifies us everywhere, Machu Picchu.
Earlier in October, a Japanese tourist was allowed to visit the site after a special request.
The popular and spooky legend of La Llorona came to life in Mexico City for a Day of the Dead tradition. La Llorona, or the Crying Woman, is a popular ghost story in Mexico and other parts of Latin America. More in the following report.
Day of the Dead began as a traditional Mesoamerican celebration in Mexico meant to guide the spirits of departed loved ones in the afterlife. Mexico has celebrated the day, bringing the legend of La Llorona to the public in a spectacular show. She is a spectral figure dressed in white who cries out in search for her children. Both spectators and actors said the show took on a new meaning this year. It recounts the heartbreak of not being able to say goodbye to the lost loved ones to the coronavirus.
This is something that I think many of us have lived through during these times. That we didn't have a chance to at least see them, to send them off with a last kiss, to send them off with all the rites that are important for us, to say goodbye with music, with the foods that they liked.
Upon arriving to the show, attendees had their temperature checked. The show La Llorona, A Longing for Goodbye, was the 27th year in a row the play has been performed among the canals of Mexico City. The show reminded spectators of how important it is to be among loved ones and how it feels when they are lost.
The people who are dying, the people who are being taken away from us, and how we often don't have the chance to say goodbye and show what we feel for those people. And I think that's what the show reflected, the powerlessness, helplessness caused by not being able to say goodbye to the people we love.
Mexico has the world's 4th highest official death toll from COVID-19 with over 90,000 fatalities.
And now moving on, Hollywood star Johnny Depp has lost his libel battle with a British tabloid that labelled him a wife beater. A London High Court judge ruled he had repeatedly assaulted his former partner and put her in fear for her life. The Sun's claim that Johnny Depp was an abusive husband sparked a courtroom showdown between the actor and his ex-wife Amber Heard earlier this year. Depp had sued the publisher of The Sun for damaging his reputation. But the UK's High Court ruled in the publisher's favour and dismissed the claim by Depp for compensation. In 12 out of the 14 incidents of the assaults reported by Heard, the judge said he found the allegations proved. Depp's lawyer called the ruling perverse and said the Hollywood actor intends to appeal. And now it's time to take a short break. Stay with us. And now moving on to the business stories, the U.S. Commerce Department says it will vigorously defend the executive order barring TikTok from operating in the country. This comes after a district judge blocked the Commerce Department's order of blanket ban set to take effect on November 12th. U.S. President Donald Trump declared TikTok a national security concern. The district judge termed the government's descriptions of national security threat as hypothetically phrased. A hearing is set to take place on Wednesday on other aspects of Commerce Department's order that were blocked. Talks to finalize a deal for Walmart and Oracle Corp to own U.S. stakes in TikTok Global are ongoing. European stocks are trading higher as investors braced themselves for the U.S. presidential election. They also reacted to positive manufacturing data out of China. Europe's stock 600 stocks 550 indexes failed to show opening prices due to input data problems. Frankfurt's DAX has edged up marginally. London's FTSE and the CAC 40 in Paris have gained fractionally. Italy's FTSE MIB has also gained. Earlier, most Asian bourses gained with the exception of China's Shanghai Composite rose. U.S. stocks have bounced back on the first trading day of the month as traders tried to recover from a brutal week and month. The comeback came despite England's latest lockdown as traders braced for Tuesday's U.S. presidential election. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is trading higher by about 1.5%, while the S&P 500 is trading higher by about 1%. The Nasdaq Composite is also trading higher by about 1%. Meanwhile, oil prices fell more than 3% on worries that lockdowns in Europe will weaken fuel demand. Traders also brace for turbulence during the U.S. election week. In the Italian Serie A, Juventus beat Spezia Calcio at 4-1 as Cristiano Ronaldo made a comeback after recovering from COVID-19. Juventus scored 3 times in 20 minutes after Ronaldo's arrival on the field in the 56th minute. Alvaro Morata gave Juventus the lead in the 14th minute, sweeping home Weston McKennie's cross. In the 59th minute, Morata slipped the ball through to Ronaldo, who slotted it past Spezia's goalkeeper Ivan Provdel. 8 minutes later, Adrian Rabiot scored the 3rd goal for Juventus, squeezing a cheeky shot inside the post. Ronaldo scored his 2nd goal in the 73rd minute with a Panenka-style penalty. Juventus moved to the 3rd place on the table with 12 points, 4 behind leaders AC Milan. In the English Premier League, Arsenal beat Manchester United 1-0 at Old Trafford. Pierre-Emerick scored the only goal of the match in the second half. This was Arsenal's first win at Old Trafford in 14 years. The Gunners now have 12 points, are up to 8th, while United remain in 15th on 7 points. In another fixture, Newcastle United beat Everton at 2-1 at St James Park. Earlier, Southampton beat Aston Villa at 4-3 after surviving a late rally to move up to 3rd in the league. And now it's time to have a look at the weather update across the globe. And for the latest updates, you can follow us on social media at indus.news.